I know you're busy, so I'm going to talk as fast as I can here so you can move on to your next project.
Okay.
Obviously, everybody's talking Hulk these days. Now, when you guys created him, he was not originally intended to be a hero, as I understand it. I mean, heroes wore red and blue, and he was green and purple.
No, he was supposed to be a hero in the sense that I always thought the monster in the old Frankenstein movie with Boris Karloff, I always thought he was more of the hero. You know, he didn't want to hurt anybody. He couldn't help being the way he was, and all those idiots with torches kept chasing him up and down the hills, and I wanted to get a monster, a so-called apparent monster, who basically was a good guy, but people were afraid of him, and they hounded him, and they hunted him, and they harassed him. So he wasn't a hero in the sense that Captain America or Superman are heroes, but I always thought of him as a good guy who was misunderstood.
Right. Obviously, something struck a chord with the American public with this character, because coming from the comic books to live-action television, the Hulk character did far better than any of the, I guess, more famous Marvel characters. I mean, the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man series was short-lived. The Captain America didn't really go anywhere, but Bixby really took it and ran with it, him and Lou Ferrigno. What is it about the Hulk, do you think, that gave the non-comic viewers more pleasure in watching this than any of the other characters?
Well, I don't want to denigrate the Hulk, who I think is a wonderful character, but it wasn't because the Hulk was better than the other characters. I think it was because the Hulk television show was done better than those other things. In other words, if they had done Captain America the way he should have been done, it would have been just as successful. Everything depends on how it's done. If the same people that did the Captain America show or the Spider-Man show on television, that live-action show,
right,
if they had done the Spider-Man movie, I think it would have bombed. What was it? Sam Raimi, who did the Spider-Man movie, did a wonderful job, and he portrayed Spider-Man the way he should be portrayed, and it was very popular. So everything really depends on how well the TV show or the movie is done.
Okay. Given that it's basically how it's done, how do you compare the Hulk movie with the recent Spider-Man and Daredevil and X-Men movies as far as standing up against them?
Well, I must be honest, I thought they were all magnificently done. Because if you think of the Hulk, basically, he's a guy, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. He's a man who turns into a monster. The only difference that Mr. Hyde was able to talk and walk around in society, the Hulk becomes a real monster who doesn't really speak. What do you do with something like that in a movie? You got a normal guy who turns into a giant monster and runs around smashing things, but they were able to write it and direct it in such a way that it was an involving story, it was a complex story, and I thought it was a beautifully done production.
Okay. Moving on to your other media projects, I've heard rumors that Stripperella has been canceled. Is that true?
Canceled? When did you hear that?
I saw that on ICV2.com. It's they cover all the comic book industry stuff. It was just, like I said, it was a rumor.
When did you see that?
I saw it today, in fact. But I had heard about it as early as 2 weeks ago.
Well, it can't be, because Stripperella is the biggest hit that they've had on TNN.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, there was just a notice in Variety. I have it in front of me. The big winner was the half-hour Stripperella at 11 p.m., which averaged 2 million total viewers, an eye-popping 155% more than the net garnered last year in the same time period. The entire block outperformed the 2-hour time slot last year by 61%. No, Stripperella hit. And then there's a picture of Stripperella. The bow of Stripperella pumped the Abler TNN's ratings. And I got a phone call from Al B. Hecht, the president of TNN, congratulating me and telling me how delighted he was. So I don't know. You got to watch those rumors.
Yeah, I'm glad I got it from the source then. Well,
Yeah.
given that it's such a success for them, and given that they're tied up in this boondoggle with Spike Lee and Spike TV, maybe you should just offer your name and let them call it Stan TV.
Well, there are probably 50 million Stans who might come out of the woodwork to sue. I don't know. Incidentally, I think that's really the most unbelievable lawsuit I've ever heard of. But I'm not going to get involved in that.
I understand. The next big Marvel movie, I believe, is Punisher. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, there's so many coming out, but
Oh,
I
I
think
know.
Punisher may be the next one. I'm not really sure.
I've seen the trailers for that one attached with Hulk, actually.
Oh, really? I haven't even seen him yet.
Yeah, it's a very short teaser.
Does it look good?
It looked great. Now, I had the privilege of speaking with Boaz Yakin, who wrote the screenplay for the first one, and we talked about the chest symbol that was missing, the big skull. Obviously, it looks like the writers have learned from their mistake on that last one, and he's definitely got it included this time.
It's so easy to put it in. All you have to do is I haven't seen the script, but the easiest way to have him wear that and not look silly is his son, who was murdered in the story, well, along with his wife. His son had worn a T-shirt like that, and in memory of the son, he puts it on.
There you go. So, do you know anything about John Travolta's part in this movie? I understand
He plays a villain.
He plays-
a fella named Howard Saint, who's a bad guy.
Is that the main villain, I would assume?
I believe so. Oh, it would have to be. Travolta's
Travolta.
a star. He's not going to play an incidental villain.
Any more Just Imagine comics that you'll be doing for Stan Lee or for any other comic book writing?
And what do you mean by Just Imagine?
They did the Just Imagine Stan Lee presents Batman, Just Imagine Stan Lee.
Oh, those. No, I'm surprised that DC hasn't wanted to make movies of any of those. No, I was just supposed to do that dozen. I did them, and that's it. It was a lot of work. I'm kind of glad. I enjoy doing them, but I'm glad it's over. It took more time than I thought it would.
All right. I guess with everything out there is being optioned for a movie that Marvel's doing. If you had to pick one that you knew they hadn't touched already, just a pet project, which one do you think?
You know something? There isn't any left. Literally every character that they have, except some of the very, very small ones that I can't even remember now. Every one of them are in production or in development or something.
Okay, well,
there is
your baby's growing up like that.
It's just unbelievable. It really is.
All right. When I first tried to contact you, I was looking up trying to get through stanley.net and stanleymedia.com.
Oh no, I don't have a website.
There's no more plans for any more websites in the future?
I don't think there seems to be no reason to have one. And I'm a compulsive answerer. If I had a website and people started writing a lot of things, I'd never get any work done. I remember when I did the comics and I had a letters page, and I felt compelled to personally reply to every letter. And no, I'm better off without the web page.
Okay, I'll wrap up with this one here. My editor told me that he has in all of his interviews, he says everybody has an answer ready for the question they've never been asked yet. And I don't know quite what he means, but maybe you do.
Everybody has the question. I don't know what the question they've never been asked yet is. I think I've been asked everything.
Okay, so there's nothing out there that no one's bothered to ask you yet that you've been...
Oh, there might be, but I can't think what it is.
All right.